40 chess. Yeah. 40 chess. 40 chess. Let's get it.
Yo, is that T-Dog?
40 chess. 40 chess. Hey. 40 chess. This a trade show. Patreon where the trades go. Tap in and watch. That's what you came for. Ain't gotta say my name. They know my name, bro.
What's good, man?
We got McNutted in ATM. Always start off the show with a trade from them. You should always make sure that your trade is in. Patreon, why not be a Patreon? Know you wish you could spend every day with them. Tap in and say what you gon' say with them. South Harmon can fill up a stadium. Next time you log in, make sure that you bring a friend. We about to kick off, let the day begin. Go follow the socials. 40 Chess FF is posted. If your trade is an F, you get roasted. Go like and subscribe for the crew. Apple, Spotify, and the YouTube. You know Cooper got the WoRP too. Let us give you a walkthrough. 40 Chess. This is 40 Chess.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back into the Dynasty Trade Show. So glad you could join us. We got some good deals. We got some ER to victory lane deals. People making that final push, trading away their injured stars, getting some people to help them win that championship and put them on the podium. But first and foremost, Adam, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well, buddy. You know, listen, we got Red Bull giving you another chance to give me some wings. I got winter. And just because I can't figure out what the season is, we got the summer, man. Summer and the winter, you know.
You need that. It's cold out.
Yeah, man. Red Bull gives you wings, and we'd love to have you on the shit show. If not, we'll happily make a pivot, Mike. We'll go from the ER to victory lane to somebody else, you know. And
right. Red Bull knows a thing or two about victory lane, right? They
absolutely
killing it in the F1 series. So
absolutely are. And I think
another
Mike,
championship in the books.
Championships in the books. And speaking of championships that we're trying to get in the books. Mike told you the theme. If you want your deals featured on the show, patreon.com/South Harmon. $1 a month gets you in the door, but doesn't get you on access to the channel. Go check it out, though. Great Discord access. Gives you tons of people that are making trades with yourselves. Mike, myself, always doing trades. So go check that out. And also, let's get into the trades right now. Mike, we're going to start off with you, buddy. Let's start off with you. What did you do here? All right.
Let's do it. Let's look at it.
12-team, Superflex, half PPR, half tight end premium. Lineup start 10. Hot butter. All right, Mike. Hot butter, man. You are taking DeAndre Swift, Jordan Love, and Christian Watson. Sending away your Justin Herbert. Obviously, one of the tough news pieces right here before the playoff starting, right? Losing Justin Herbert. So you're sending him away with a 24-second from Dirty Lettuce, a 24-second from CN Beisner, and then also your 25-second. So we're looking at Herbert, 3 seconds, 2 and 24 for Swift, Love, and Watson. So, Mike, talk to us, man.
One of those tough ones that you just got to do, right? Just got to do. I just snuck into the playoffs as a 6th seed. First-round picks leveraged in 24, first-round picks leveraged in 25. I got Travis Kelce and Stephon Diggs, like these kind of assets. We're going for it, man. It's a lineup league, so I'm a little bit more apt to play the variance, come on strong at the end of the year and try to take it home. But losing a superstar right before the playoffs start hurts. It hurts. So we're going to try to make a pivot that'll actually help out the team for this year. I don't know if Christian Watson, I'm going to be able to enjoy the fruits of his labor. I might be one and done in the fantasy playoffs, but say I make it to the semifinals and see Watts suiting up. Wouldn't be a bad stack. And coincidentally, like in my defense of Jordan Love, I mean, I think most people obviously in Dynasty would rather have Justin Herbert over Jordan Love. But
yes.
if you're just looking from week 9 on, right? So the last 6 weeks of fantasy football, Jordan Love's actually QB7 in WoRP in this league. Way above Herbert.
Yeah.
Way above Herbert. He's been playing better, and obviously he's the only one that will be playing this week when I actually need him. So we're hoping Jordan Love rides that hot hand, especially because he has a pretty cakewalk, easier fantasy football schedule as far as the defenses he has to face. DeAndre Swift, kind of the same thing. It's been rough go here over the last few weeks for him, but the schedule definitely clears up for the playoffs. So hopefully we can ride that in, and then the Christian Watson stack, if I can use it, hopefully that'll pay off pretty big. But this is the price you have to pay, man, and I say it was pretty damn steep, but, BD14 knew exactly that he had me bent over a barrel, so
Yeah.
he's going to take Herbert. I'm going to take a hot rising quarterback in Jordan Love back, and then ask for his Swift and Christian Watson on top of it. The price is going to be a lot of seconds. Start throwing them in, bud.
Go ahead and patch these all together, see what this gets me. Now, Christian, go ahead, cue up. You talked about Christian Watson. Our Christian, real quick, too. Christian, cue up the WoRP here, because if you pull up, and I'll make sure you have the 9 through 14 to pull up. If you just look at 9 through 14, right, the last 5 weeks, to give you a sample size that's big enough so it's not 1 week is going to sway anything too drastically, but you're looking at more of how they've been playing and how they're faring of late. Like this quarterback line from 9 to 14, it just hovers above the skilled players the entire time, like all the way to quarterback 24, right? You're getting a guy that's a top 10 WoRP option in those 5 weeks in Jordan Love. So here's the thing about a trade like this, right? Whoever was in the comments last week, boy, you ain't seen nothing yet, buddy. If you thought some of these trades last week were forget Dynasty, wait till you see the start of this show, boss. All right, because this is one of those, Mike, where you feel good about your team, obviously, in order to make a trade like this, right? You also, whether you do or don't feel good about your team, you've committed to making this title run, right? And you have only had the injury of attrition to you is just Justin Herbert. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a big one. That sucks in a league like this where it's quarterback-heavy scoring. But you're not willing to see Justin Herbert's injury derail your season. You also don't have your pick. You don't have your pick next year. You kind of have made your decision already on a team like this for a 2-year window, right? Like, I'm going for it. I'm in the playoffs. My team's built the way I want it to be. I didn't, get the bye. I didn't get the bye, but I don't need to have the bye. I just need to win 1 week here. And the Love pivot is interesting from the Dynasty lens, obviously, is not a discussion. But from the contending lens this year, the crazy part about Jordan Love is he's had this up and down season, right? He's been playing a lot better of late. This last week, he kind of, morphed back into the old version of Jordan Love, which was not the greatest to see. But the crazy part about his run is that regardless of whether he's been playing well or not on the NFL field, he's been a decent WoRP option. If he's playing quarterback, he's been roughly that 12 to 15 range weekly, and to this last 5 weeks, he's been a top 6, 7, 8 WoRP guy. So the pivot, I think, from Herbert to Love to win for the next 3 weeks makes sense. All the seconds on top of it definitely is where, like, it feels really steep. But you're in this league. You're the one that knows. Like, if I was going to have to get a trade done to replace Herbert, to get a WoRP quarterback in, to give myself a couple other players,
Right.
This is a trade you have to make. I think that Swift is another guy that has a chance with the playoff schedule to do some really good things for you. But this trade is quickly going to become for you weekly a good or a bad one, right?
Right.
If you win this title, you're going to look back and don't care about this trade. If you get bounced in the first round, you're going to be like, why the fuck did I make it, right? That's what this comes down to in a way.
I think it's kind of interesting. It's tough, too, because, I do have Jake Browning. Would have been the other option. Like, that was the guy I would start in place of Herbert injured. And he's been playing well. He's been playing really, really well. But, like, the sample size is just so much smaller where I don't know if I could trust that, for 1 week.
Yeah, for sure, man.
like 1 week. As the last couple have just kind of been a fluke, and does he come back to earth? Like, maybe you want to ride the hot hand. I think the Swift piece was enough to be like, if I asked for DeAndre Swift, like, I'm going to trust the fact that I can just slot him in a half PPR lineup league like this and just put him in a flex, and here we go. Like, he's already starting from a pretty good base because it's half PPR, so he gets pulled up next to a lot of these wide receivers. So sets up a hell of a matchup right now. I just had to look at it, Adam. So top to bottom, it's my Love versus his Goff, right? It's Derrick Henry versus Christian McCaffrey. It's Stephon Diggs versus Mike Evans. It's Njoku versus Kyle Pitts. I'll take that one. check.
Is that Njoku for you?
Yeah.
Njoku, top tight end last 5 weeks also.
Right. Najee versus James Conner. Kelsey versus Amari Cooper. Pittman versus Demont. Swift versus Eckler. Javonte versus Sutton, and T-Law now versus Sam Howell. So,
Okay.
at least on paper, right, the matchup, I feel pretty good about it. I feel good, especially with the matchups I have, but we'll see. It was a steep price to pay, but I wasn't also just going to say fuck it and just punt this season away when you already leveraged so much.
Yeah, you come this far, you're not going to fold. There's not really much for you to fold, right? It's like if you're playing poker and you're almost all in, but you got an extra $50 sitting here, right? I'm gonna see this hand out, man, before I just let you walk away with all the what I've leveraged in already, right? So I'm with you. I'll tell you this much though. Let me say this. While I can understand why you make this trade, for those of you right now that are forgetting about, it's playoff time, why Adam is only in X amount of playoffs. Do you know what you get to do if you're not in the playoffs? Is you get Justin Herbert in 3 fucking seconds for this pile here, right? Dynasty value-wise, these are the type of trades you can make in a rebuild that, Mike, just think about this. Dynasty value-wise, right? Not that it's because it's the other end of you. Just think about if you make this trade in Dynasty as a rebuilder. Man, you make 2 or 3 of these trades in a lineup league like this. You're not going to continue to miss the playoffs. So I think that's a point I'll make is if you're watching the trade show, whether your trade deadline's on or off right now, right? Think about this at this time of the year next year, and if you currently can trade, man, go see. Right now is plus season, right? You know what it is, Mike? It's Christmas season, and you know what that means? It's the season of giving. You know what the season of giving is? You give to me, the rebuilder, all right? Give me the plus. I want a plus for all your injured players. I'll take them on. You go win yourself a title. So I think it makes sense. Definitely makes sense for BD14. I'll tell you this much, man. This is a trade that I know you have made plenty of these where it's you're comfortable with the outcome either way. And obviously I think if you make a trade like this, you feel good about your chances to win. So
yeah, I definitely do. I just to acknowledge the side, man, BD14, if I was in his position, this would be money. This is what I'd do too. Right.
Yeah, it's a smash, man.
Love to Herbert. I'm going to send away Swift. I'm going to send away Watson, but I'm going to get all these seconds back. And then now next year he's rolling in with all this draft capital and, Justin Herbert and Anthony Richardson who's hanging out on his IR. So I think he'll be just fine.
Yes. Well done. And also, interestingly here, getting your 25-second is another where it's let's see if this guy can keep this up. Let's see what this 25-second can become. So
right.
I like it, man. I like it. All right, let's get into one of mine here, and then we'll get into everybody else's. Okay, 12-team Superflex, 2 tight end league, Mike. Tiered PPR. It's a 0.25 points per carry. It's a full. He puts it down here. So the running back gets a point per catch, 1.25 for a receiver. Tight end gets a full 2 points per catch. All right, to clarify the premiums here. Best ball start 11. It's shit auction 5. All right. Now we got that out of the way, Mike. What's your thoughts on this here? Brady Miller, similar to you, going to try to win a title. He is receiving Stephon Diggs, Brandon Cooks, Zach Moss, Jerome Ford. Sending away his 25 first, his 25 second, 25 third, and 2026 first. So luckily it's a shit league, so that 26 first, I'll take it. I know the league will be around then.
Right.
Might not consider that in certain leagues, but what's your thoughts on the trade in general?
It's an interesting one, man. It's a lot of leverage for some pieces in best ball. Jerome Ford, he's had some injury concerns here lately, so that's kind of a knock driving him down just a little.
Granted,
bit. Right?
this trade was this trade was made a little before the injury concern, right?
Right. Zach Moss really hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
Well, JT's been out, so that stinks. Stephon Diggs is, if we were doing the recap show, right, he's ice cold at this point, ain't he?
Yeah. He's you hope he's coming out of it because it feels like it's going to be a Sub-Zero freeze soon where he just becomes a statue of ice, right?
And then you really like the Brandon Cooks that you saw a couple weeks ago, and then this past week you saw nothing. again.
Can we get that Thanksgiving Brandon Cooks, you know?
Yeah, you want that Brandon Cooks. So literally like 4 pieces that you just got where you go, shit. I think it's fine though. Like in best ball, you probably got to make this move if you're really trying to push in and compete. And for you, Adam, like I think you're pretty comfortable just letting all these guys go, even for draft picks that are a couple years out. Because one, a lot of people don't get this too. They don't want to trade for draft picks that are in 2026, Adam. But what's the one thing I can tell you for certainty about this league? It'll be around in 2026. You're going to realize the fruits of your labor. Like you're going to be able to spend that. It's not some artificial, fugazi.
Yeah.
It's actually going to happen.
Right.
And if you're already leveraging this much, imagine what that team's going to look like in 2026.
Yeah, I think too. Let me just say in best ball, I think one of the notions or things that might be out there people might think about if they're not playing in a best ball league or in several, you get this idea of, you can just put it on cruise control. Listen, I want to make sure people understand that narrative is not really how it works in best ball. The cruise control thing, right? You may have a rare exception of a team where it's just built ridiculous. You don't get hit with injuries. But even then, like letting it operate on cruise control is not the ideal way to do it. It's a weekly, make sure you're hitting the waiver wire, exploiting trades when you get a chance to. Even in best ball, just because you're not setting your lineup doesn't mean you set it on cruise. But the one thing I will say, Mike, is if you, in these leagues where I've rebuilt, right, if you do it this way where you take especially on the late first, which is all the way out in 2026. When I say late, like it's, I don't know, 700, 800, 900 days away, something ridiculous. So you get it discounted now, but eventually in either next season or in the 25 season for sure, you can start to leverage that 26 first into the middle. And now when you have it where you've rebuilt, right? So you rebuild young and you can leverage those picks and young players for studs to kind of build out your team. And then you're also backfilled with 2026 firsts that you've accrued over the years to now push in and basically kind of force your way, right? Like you have more leverage on top of the fact that you have a good team, which at that point, it's not cruise control, but it's about as close as you can get there, where you have kind of the league by the balls, essentially, right? Not fun for 2 years if you're not someone that's into the rebuilding side of things, but you start making these type of moves and you get 3/4, a third of the league, anywhere from a third all the way up to like 3/4 of those 2026 first. By the time the 25 season comes around, Mike, you better, for those people that gave up their first, you better hope they won because their window's shrinking. You're going to start really messing with the waves of the trades and how things move in the future. So for me, I'm comfortable making this trade. As you can see, it was sent to me. Mike, this is one of those too where every now and again you get sent an offer. You're like, okay, let me just make sure. Yeah, I can't say no to this. A lot of times you get in the back and forth and countering. This is one of those where it's like, I'll just, you sent me a good offer off the rip. It's a let's get it done deal. So I like it better from my side. I think I'll say this though: if you're Brady Miller, he's pushed all of his picks in outside of the 25 and 26. Now the problem is you don't have any outs now. You are locked into contending for the next 3 seasons, right? Or a rebuild that's going to be a dumpster fire.
Right.
I'd like to get a little better pieces, but Mike, here's the thing in best ball, right? While most of these guys aren't trending the right way, would anybody be shocked to see Stephon Diggs have a top 5 season or top 5 week in the next 3 weeks?
No.
Or all of them? No, right? If Brandon Cooks was a top 12, 15 receiver, right? No one's going to be shocked.
Right.
Zach Moss, he's had 2 down weeks. If he was a decent option this last week with Taylor still sidelined, in best ball, if you really want to go win in a league that's deep, you got to make moves like this. Maybe not quite pay this much, but I don't hate it, frankly, for him, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's not the worst deal. It'd be interesting to see how this league shakes out too, right? Because we really got 3 horses at the top, and we'll see who fights us out. And coincidentally, Adam, we were just talking about it on the AMA this week. The odds of the 1 or 2 seed moving on, I thought they'd be pretty good. Might be closer to you, Adam, because there's certain teams sitting in the 3 spot that actually scored more points throughout the season than Brady, who's the 2 seed. So maybe we get an upset here.
What I tell you, man. I just think, especially in some of these leagues, it'll come down to these 2 and 3 seed matchups are like
Right.
Anyone
Brutal.
can win that game, right? Especially in the leagues like this where we just kicked off a startup this year. So
Some of them, but also some of these leagues, I'm sure when we look the 3 seeds god awful.
don't get me wrong, I'm not saying
How
every
the
league.
fuck are
I'm
you the
saying
3 seed?
yeah, you're correct. I'm talking in this like Shit Auction 5 was a startup from this last summer, right? Like
Right.
those, especially in those leagues, I could see where the 2 and the 3 and the 1 and the 4 are not like just layups. So
Next
interesting
to
to
each
see
other,
how
right.
it starts.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into. Oh man, Mike, Untitled 2. I have not seen this name on the trade show in a while.
Asterisk.
Asterix.
Yeah.
Love it, man. He's back. Wow, he's back in a big way, Mike.
Sure is.
Holy Santa Claus shit, buddy. Let's get into this deal. 12-team Superflex. Best ball, start 12. Shady Nasties, retooled. I feel like this is all Asterix, like the league name. He's retooled,
He made that league too.
Did he? Yeah, it kind of seems like it. All right, so
At
we
least
got.
I don't have to worry about him nuking it after this year, right? Like, because he didn't make the playoffs again.
I was gonna say, I don't know how observant people are that watch this show, right? One of the things I always look for in these trades is a few things: the name, players. But then one of the things I'm looking for is like maybe my 3rd, 4th, 5th. Is if there's any icons that I can see that have seen this trade that went down, and you may happen to notice one. All right, you see that little crown down there? Once upon a
Very
time,
observant.
right? There he is,
Quick.
man. McNutted, the teardown king, saw this one of the first 2 people to see the trade happen. So, Mike, you saw the trade. Justin Herbert, Justin Jefferson, 25 first, 25 third. Josh Allen is being acquired on the other side of the deal by Melo Nello, as well as the Slim Reaper and Puka Nakua. So let's just say this before I hand it to you. This is a fucking heavy hitter deal, man. Like,
Yeah.
good on these dudes for making. Before I grade the trade and tell you what I think of it, like, good on these dudes for making a deal like this of this magnitude this late in the year. This is a heavy hitting deal. So which side do you want, Mike, to walk us through the way you look at it?
I really like the way Melo constructed this from his aspect. Just the whole dynamics of the league. He's a 4 seed right now in the playoffs, Adam, and I'm the 2 seed, and I don't feel really good about my team at all. So this is the league that I won last year. This is that one. This is the exact league, Adam, where we started the best ball tear down approach, right? Well, the one where I traded Jonathan Taylor and people lost their minds on Twitter, and then immediately after I traded Kyle Pitts away.
Yeah.
Fucking dog walked the league last year. Walked away with it hands down. But my 23 pick was leveraged, right? My 24 was not. I still had it.
Okay.
So we go into this year. Would I like to rebuild? Yeah. There wasn't anybody fucking buying, though. So I'm like, all right, I'm already playing for free. Let's run it back. I've ran it back, and I'm the 2 seed, and I'm telling you what, like, with my best ball knowledge, I fucking hate my team. Like, this thing loses next week, I'm not going to be shocked at all, right? There's no way I should be the 2 seed.
So wait, let me just make.
That's kind of the staple of the league right now. Even the 1 seed is terrible. So all the way down to Melo, like, he's limping into the playoffs, you think, at a 4 seed. And all of a sudden now, he just took 2 pieces that, one, he hasn't had Justin Jefferson for most of the year. He had him for like 3 plays last week. We think he might be back
before
this
Dobbs sent him into a complete rib shot,
week. Right. Sent him to the shadow realm. Justin Herbert, who was doing a good job of helping his team along, gone. So what a better way to do it than, hey, the league's kind of weak, ripe for the taking, right at the trade deadline. Let me send away Herbert, and I'm assuming he probably thought that Jefferson was probably done for the year, like a lot of us, right, after last week. You go to the hospital with a rib injury after just coming back off IR and how bad the Vikings have looked the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm sure most people are like, yeah, this dude's just going to hang it up for the rest of the year. And then you essentially just send a 1st and a 3rd for Devontae Smith in 2025.
Right. Well, I mean, so here's the reality of a trade like this, right? At least for me, Mike, because, well, it's interesting. You just told me two leagues in a row. The first one, you wouldn't be surprised if there was an overtaking of one of the 2 seeds. And then this seed, you're telling me this time that we could be looking at both the 1 and the 2 not making the title. And you would be expecting that, actually, if you were betting. So it'd be interesting to see how that shakes out. For those that don't know on AMA, Mike and I were just as open discussion. We don't actually know the answer. We're going to track it. How likely the 1 and the 2 seeds are to go into the title game. That's kind of what this discussion is we're having. So we'll have that.
My hope is that Melo wins his matchup, but I need the 3 seed to win their matchup because the 3 seed is E-Tron's team, and we play in some leagues with him. His team's ass water too.
Okay.
His team's ass water too. So I would at least avoid. Yeah. So I would at least avoid playing Melo.
Okay.
I would avoid playing Melo. I'd get E-Tron in the semis, and then me and Melo would duke it out in the championship. And, by that time, I've already won second place money. So
Well, how the turntables. Mike is out here trying to avoid Melo in the semis. Whoa.
I don't want to play his fucking team, man.
I get it now. But when you see this trade, because I want to walk through this, all right? At least the way I'm viewing a trade like this, Mike. So when you look at Shady Nasty's WoRP, I'm going to pull it up here. I don't actually have it off the cuff. I'm going to look at 9 through 14. But the way I'm typically viewing it, unless it's like crazy wide receiver heavy, which this does not signify that at all, Justin Jefferson's dope as hell, man. I'm not going to tell you that I would not want Justin Jefferson on every one of my teams, that I would not tear up for him whenever I can if it makes sense, okay? That being said, if I am in a position to win, as much as I love Justin Jefferson, I can win titles in best ball, Mike, and I can tell you the titles I've won, the titles I've seen you win, I don't think I have a Jefferson share in any of them. I don't know that you do either, right? Like, no. He's not the person that's going to guarantee you a title run, right? He's really nice. I'm not telling you I don't want to have him, but if you had to pivot from Jefferson to Puka Nacua, that would suck, right? But at the same time, in best ball, that's not the craziest thing in the world for points per game. Because why? Josh Allen versus Herbert, when healthy, Mike, has to have something coming to the Josh Allen side.
A 25 first.
The crazy part is, think about that now. Like, you got off of Herbert injured, going to give you 0 for probably this specific top option at the quarterback position. Which, when I look at this league, Mike, the top option, undoubtedly it's Dak over the last 5 weeks, but it's a quarterback, right, for this league. So if you get the top quarterback for your injured one, even though he was technically in the elitish tier, that deserves a plus already. And then you get Devontae Smith, who, Mike, this is a guy that has in best ball the range of outcomes that you love to see, right? All right, he could have a down week, absolutely. But nobody's going to be shocked to see Slim Reaper have one of these fucking 150-yard touchdown games. Like, he poses that upside too. So in best ball, Mike, this is a crazy deal that I like for Melo. Obviously, losing Jefferson hurts, but I can stomach that given what I'm getting back.
Over the last 6 weeks, from week 9 through 14, Smitty, wide receiver 13, 35th overall player in WoRP.
Yep.
Josh Allen, the number 3 overall player in WoRP, number 2 quarterback.
Yeah, number 2 quarterback, and like if you just think about that, right? That's why Dak's been on a heater. Dak is ahead of him, by a little bit, but Dak's been, absolutely on fire.
Ho-hum Puka Nacua, 25th wide receiver, and that's a lot of bad weeks in there too, right?
Well, that's primarily, like, that was the stretch run of, like, his bad weeks.
Right. But still, top 75 WAR player, right?
And you look at how he's been trending too. Like, the last 5 weeks, obviously, is going to say this. I mean, I could run it. I'll just run it the last 2 weeks just to see what that looks like. I'm going to guess it's closer to 12, 15, right? And if you think about a weekly playoff, which is what this is, guy that can give you a top 12 week. Those guys both can give you top 12 weeks, right?
There's nobody I want to see get gaped harder than Asterisk on a national audience level.
Wow.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
By the way, Mike, sheesh.
Some ginger Canadians, man.
Can I tell you the last 2 weeks, if you had to guess, where the the Slim or Puka Nacua would be standing?
Ooh, top 8.
Close. He's basically the same as 8. 8. By the way, he's 10. So him and 8 have no difference. You know who 8 is? Tyreek Hill.
Who's it? Ooh.
You know who 12 is? AJ Brown. So
Right.
just think for a second. In the last 2 weeks, Puka Nacua is giving you the WoRP in the fucking ballpark of AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill. Like you're playing in a 3-week stretch here. I want to make sure people know that. Like, oh, you're using a small sample size, Adam. I got news for you. We're trying to stack a best ball team for a small sample size.
Damn.
These are the fucking people you want to do it with, right? Like
Right.
nobody. Please make sure you're not hearing me wrong. No one is out here touting Puka Nacua in the range of Justin Jefferson and dynasty value. Don't mistake
Correct.
me for that, right? But this is. You're getting the top quarterback option in a super flex league, which quarterback scoring is very good, for an injured one. I'm willing to bring Justin Jefferson to the table now if I'm getting back guys that can score like him. So I'm good with it, man. I'm good with it.
Yeah. I think the easiest way to break that down, though, was, like you said, when healthy, Herbert to Josh Allen's at least a 25 first.
Correct.
So you throw the third in there if you want to.
But let's just say this, Mike.
And then you
this is
told
where
me
I
in
think it's a
best ball
win.
league, well, you told me in a best ball league, like I get that, right? We're talking if healthy. And then my tier down from Justin Jefferson is Puka Nacua and Devontae Smith. I like that deal already.
Well, that's
now
what I was
you
going
add
to
on
say.
the fact that I got off of 2 guys that doing fucking nothing for me in the playoffs.
Right? Like I know it doesn't sound sexy, Jefferson for Puka and Smitty. And I would make the case that one, like, you could argue for something back or whatever. But that's at least a deal where it's like, you get me thinking at minimum, right? Like, I'm not telling you I'd make that when he's healthy, okay? But
How ironic this is the league where I did all those dirty, gross tear downs and then won the fucking thing last year.
How the turntables.
How the turntables.
But so yeah, Justin Herbert in a 25 first, Mike. If you tell me that's for Josh Allen, Mike, while Justin Jefferson's hurt, I will send him in a third for Puka Nacua and Devontae Smith if I can go win a title this year. So
The only part of this trade show Asterix going to like, if he watches it, is going to be the fact that I'm wearing a Michael Vick jersey. That's it.
you didn't even have to tell him that. Damn it. I mean, he'd know it's a hokey, but
Ooh,
all right.
Deebo.
Guess what, Mike? Big Black Scooby is back, as well as 7 GOAT rings. 10-team, PPR, lineup start 11. The League of Diversity.
Poor Scooby, man.
Deebo Samuel and Rashad White. For Garrett Wilson and Christian Kirk, there does happen to be a third that's in this deal in 2024 from 7 GOAT rings. Mike, I'm just reading. Don't shoot the fucking messenger, okay? Let me get the trade out, for God's sake.
You just doing your job. I get it.
I'm just here so I won't get fined. I'm fucking Marshawn Lynch. So, Mike, here's what I'm going to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I don't know.
Why? I don't. I'm not the biggest of Deebo guys, okay? But I will acknowledge, right now, playing some of the best football that he's played in his career, it's almost like the injury this time, Mike, may have helped his fantasy cause, because the team was like, you know what, man? We didn't like that stretch when he was off the field. Let's get him the ball out of the backfield a little bit. Let's give him a little more handoffs. Let's get him the ball more. And look how he's been playing. So, despite all those options there, this dude he's back. He's the old Deebo, right? Taking people's lunch money like Friday. So, you also get Rashad White, Mike, who, if you didn't tune in to AMA this week, the top running back option in WoRP the last 5 weeks. For Garrett Wilson and Christian Kirk. And a third. And again, as I hand it off to you, I ask the question, why?
Why? Oh. There's going to be somebody out there who's like, I'd never trade my Garrett Wilson for Deebo, even if I was a contender. I get it. Fine. That's what you want to argue. I'm telling you, I'm different. I would fucking do it in a heartbeat. Like, one of them is smashing, the other one is okay at times. You know what the crazy thing is, Adam, though? The last 6 weeks in this league, Deebo ain't even the best WoRP guy in this fucking trade.
No, he's not. I can tell you who is.
Rashad fucking White.
You got it, man. You've got it.
So even if you told me, you maybe probably do whatever, favor the Garrett Wilson over the Deebo part. I sure as fuck, contending or not, favor the Rashad White side over the Christian Kirk in the third by a landslide.
All right, so now
that would be if Christian Kirk was healthy, Adam.
All right, so let's
Factor in
discuss
he's done
this.
for you for the fantasy playoffs.
Let's discuss this. All right, there's a lot of things happening that Mike wouldn't partake in. Okay, the trade. I at least from what I've known, and what I've heard from him, 10-team league, right?
Gross.
So, Mike, let's pretend though. Okay, we're in this league. You're the side that's not contending. You have Rashad White. We've talked about we want to get off these running backs. While he's the number one option in WoRP the last 5 weeks, pretty good time to do it. Deebo's also, I've talked a lot about his value. He's probably not going to surge because it's all going to come down to production. Well, guess what? Production's up, motherfuckers. This is a good time to sell Deebo too. So what are you what are you needing on the other end here? Like, I would definitely on a rebuild, Mike, trade my Deebo for Garrett Wilson, right? I would do that in a rebuild. Now, the Christian Kirk part, to your point, is a different conversation. He's injured, and Rashad White's a top WoRP guy. That part I don't think I would do as cleanly as this. Mm-hmm. So I know I saw you had a little hesitation on the Garrett Wilson for Deebo thing. So just give me, in general, what you would need in this trade. What do you swap out Kirk for? And then if it's not Wilson straight up for Deebo, what did you need on that?
I don't know. Like, give me... if I was gonna get Deebo, right, like just the Garrett Wilson for Deebo, and I'm sending away Garrett Wilson, I think maybe I asked for like a second or a sweetener, but at the end of the day, I just settle on straight up. Now, if I'm on a rebuilder, I'm with you, Adam. As much as like I'm not in the playoffs, I don't give a fuck. You can have your Deebo, like enjoy him. I'll take Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, that's
the long term. That's where we can have that conversation. But I just get it's two different mindsets. I sure as fuck though ain't taking your injured Christian Kirk and a third for my Rashad White. Like you want Rashad White, Christian Kirk in your first.
Well, because here's the thing about it. I want to make sure. Okay, if you listen to this show, Mike and I, you might think of as Christian Kirk stands to an extent. Now, there's a couple things you have to consider. One, Mike and I play in a lot of best ball formats, where in best ball, Christian Kirk is the guy I want to have on a lot of my teams. Why? Because he's undervalued, and weekly he gives me a lot of upside, believe it or not. 12-team Superflex lineup leagues, Mike, still interested in Kirk, especially in lineup start 10 or more, which we play in a lot of those formats too. Now we're getting to 10-team. Okay, so I'm getting the injured guy that if we think about Christian Kirk in like a WoRP perspective, Mike, I'm already looking for hammers here in this type of a league, right? Christian Kirk, as much as I love the kid, man, he's not going to probably ever be a 10-team hammer, right?
If I filter out the last 2 weeks, Adam,
yeah,
right, for this league, if I filter out the last 2 weeks, right, where he got hurt on early in the game in week 13.
1 through 12, you're going?
Right, 1 through 12.
Okay.
He's wide receiver 26.
That's my point. And to that,
he's the 63rd overall player in WoRP.
And if you think
that's only starting 11, right? Think about that.
It's 10 teams. So the reason it's so important in a 10-team league, you want to shoot for the upside. So, Mike, Christian Kirk is going to be a guy that in this format I'm actually trying to avoid, right? Because he's not ever going to really be someone that brings me to the dynasty trade table and it's like, hey, Christian Kirk, here you go. He's going to get me something. No. There's also not going to be points per game in my lineup, and if I put him in there, I know I don't have the upside of other players. So guess what I'm trading away for him, too? What so happens to be the hammer right now? Like, that's just not the trade I'd make. You want to give me draft capital? You want to give me a first-round pick for Rashad White? Okay, boom, done. You want to give me, a different injury receiver? You want to give me Tank Dell? Maybe we have a conversation there because even if I don't want to hold Tank Dell till next year, I know his dynasty value allows me to get to the table with some of these higher-end guys. Christian Kirk just ain't the one I'm taking here. It's just not it at all for me. I think that's the crux of why this deal didn't work for Big Black Scooby in our opinions, but I totally get the Garrett Wilson side. I think that's a piece if you made 1-for-1 for Deebo. While Deebo's smashing right now, Garrett Wilson still has a ton of name cachet to trade out of later. Christian Kirk for Rashad White, though, man, I just don't like that at all.
Weeks 1 through 12 on the Christian Kirk point, just to tell you like how mid he is, where it just doesn't matter in this format, Adam. It just really doesn't. Even when he was healthy, and I'm doing the best I can to filter out the 2 bad weeks that would have damned him in WoRP, right? Here are the players who are above him in this format. And think about how badly some of these guys played, weeks 1 through 12. Joe Mixon, James Cook, Josh Jacobs, Josh Dobbs, Ramondre. Like, these are the players that are more valuable than Christian Kirk and WoRP. And that's when he was healthy and doing things. That's nuts. Nuts to me. Big Black Scooby strikes again.
Now,
or Goat Ring strikes again. I don't know.
And I want to talk to Mike here, okay? You're looking at the WoRP, I think, from this league. I can hear you rattling it off. You get real excited about this shit IDP we have, okay? But I want you to know what IDP looks like, okay? And for those, Christian's going to have it on the screen here, okay? The entirety of the fucking defensive players, from the top WoRP option to the bottom, they have one thing in common. They all trend are 0. They're lower than that. Look at that. Look at that line.
How about that for diversity? No one gives a fuck.
Literally, Mike, what it tells you.
It tells you
It's trying to tell you that you want to roster as little defensive players as humanly possible, and they're all beyond replaceable. That is why. Can I say this is why people don't like IDP? We need to change some things for the IDP family out there, right? That's ridiculous.
Some people do this shit where they only, have like 3 of them. It maybe start 11 offense and 3 on defense. Come on. Need some representation. Make the scoring good too.
I'll be honest, I'm still not the biggest IDP guy, even though that league is probably as good as you can make it, Mike. But, this is exactly why people fucking hate IDP. That's ridiculous. That's awful.
I'm change the world. I'm changing the world like I'm changing
Look at that, man.
The college fantasy world. All right.
There's a tool out there that tells you everything you need to know, and it's literally not. It won't even dress it up. It says they're all below 0. All right, let's get into a trade. Christian is on the trade show. Christian getting Rashee Rice and Dalton Kincaid, Mike, for Tank Dell and a 24th third. Speaking of injury pivots, speaking of Tank Dell, which I just talked about last one, from ER to victory lane, Mike. Is this a McNutted from ER to victory lane approved trade or no? It's a 14-team Superflex PPR. It is a 0.75 tight end premium in 2024, which Blitz, here's the thing. I don't give a fuck what the tight end premium is next year. I want to know what it is this year. Lineup start 12, Dynasty Football Invitational. Mike, what say you?
It is approved because we talked about it when Tank Dell went down. And injury pivots. I like what Rashad Rice has done. I think his dynasty value just keeps going up every single week. He's been pretty damn consistent. And even if Kansas City finally adds some help via free agency or a big-time draft pick next year at wide receiver, Rashad Rice is still going to have a pretty prominent role with Patrick Mahomes for the next couple of years. So I like where he's at. Obviously, though, what I'd say that Tank Dell's dynasty value is higher than Rashad Rice. But here's the thing. He's not scoring me any fantasy points for the rest of this fucking year. At all. If I could pivot 1-for-1 to Rashad Rice on a contending team, I would do it. And I wouldn't even think twice about it. Now, you tell me it's a 14-team league. I fucking hate tight ends. I think Dalton Kincaid's overrated, but you just told me I got Dalton Kincaid for a 24th third in a 14-team league. I don't give a shit if that is the 301, Adam. That is a smash deal. Something I take in a heartbeat. This is easy for Christian. Bravo, Christian. Bravo, Scurvy Adam. You did a great job, buddy.
Damn it. Scurvy Adam gets it done. I mean, this is, at least for me, Mike, when I look at this, because, all right, you tell me right now, if you had Tank Dell in a 14-team league, a lot of us would say, man, you should be able to pivot better than Rashad Rice. Okay. he said, she said. We can say all we want. What does this league say? Now, Mike, if the league in a 14-team lineup league, start 12, was only going to let you get Rashee Rice as the best pivot for Tank Dell, do you make that 1-for-1?
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I wanted to go through that is let's remove the he said, she said, all this stuff that you should be able to get. Keep trade cut. No, you got 13 other people in your league that give you the idea of what you can do. Okay. So, Mike, I would not like to make the Rashee Rice trade 1-for-1, but I would do it if I had to, and especially in 14-team where depth is such a massive thing, especially with all the attrition we've seen this year. Bodies, man, bodies. Like you can get a lot worse than Rashee Rice when it comes to bodies in 14-team. The craziest part about this, though, is that Kincaid one because, Mike, as much as he's either – honestly, Mike, I don't even know in, like, the lineup WoRP perspective since Knox has been back if he's going to be a guy that really helps me win a title. But I do know in this format he's going to be probably trading as much as Tank Dell does.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to highlight that point, Mike, what if – you said, okay, my dynasty value can be replaced by this Kincaid guy who's healthy. Guess what you got Rashee Rice for now?
Money.
A third fucking round pick.
There you go.
In 14-team. I don't know how you like that math, but that's what we call four-dimensional, right? Four-dimensional chess. So,
got him.
Christian, congrats, buddy. You know we like to give you a tough time, but when you get a layup or a dunk, we'll take it. All right, Mike. Mike Evans and Cortland Sutton for Jonathan Mingo, Terry McLaurin, and a 24-second from Total Chaos. The reason I wanted to make sure I highlight the name, that's who Total Chaos is, the one receiving Evans and Sutton. So you already can kind of say it's a 207 or later, right? You're making this move going into the playoffs. It's a pre-startup draft, though. So take that back. About the 24-second being late. You would hope it is, but what are your thoughts on this one?
I think that's just the name of the league.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. All right, so let's say this is if that's the name of the league, then let's say this is going into the playoffs. This is happening right now.
Yeah.
Let's go back to what I said from the beginning. I'm happily making this trade.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Jonathan Mingo still gives me something? Like, I fucked up on that pick all that time ago. He gives me something? Absolutely.
Remember all the people trying to sell us on him, too?
Top 50, Mike. He was drafted in the top 50.
I fucking bought
You know who else was
him
drafted in the top 50? I don't have to give you all the names. You know how many busts have been drafted in the top fucking 50? A lot.
A lot. A guy who was fucking irrelevant in college did nothing. I don't give a fuck where you got drafted.
Is there any shock that the team that's in complete disarray, I mean absolute shambles, Mike, right. They're like in Dynasty, the team that's going to get the 101, doesn't have their first fucking pick, right?
Right.
Their roster's a fucking disaster. Is it any shock that that's the team that took Jonathan Mingo in the top 50?
So,
I mean, this is way too easy, Mike. Think about this.
Yes.
Okay, you get to go from McLaurin to Evans. That's Evans by a mile.
Yes.
And, Mike, I would pay a mid to late second for Sutton easy. Jonathan Mingo is close to a 0 for me in a best ball playoff team. What do we?
He's like a 4th.
Yeah, fine. I'll give you that.
Would you play a mid to late second and a 4th for Cortland Sutton in a best ball league? Check.
I mean, listen, there's a term out there. Shout out Drew. Did the trade show with us. We've got to get him back on at some point. It's called the face planter. All right? This man's face is halfway through the fucking earth. This is the face planter of face planters for this year, buddy. He got late buzz. He didn't have like this huge name, but this is an absolute face planter, man. And this is a guy that right now with his college profile and rookie season, if he becomes something, Mike, good for him. I won't even be mad at the kid. Good on you for turning that around. I'm casting it to the wind. This is too easy. I don't have anything else to say on this trade.
No. This was a layup if I've ever seen one. But I'm sure there's probably at least one Jonathan Mingo truther that watches this show.
Sorry, buddy. Tell us in the comments. Now, let's get fucking festive. Can we get festive? You know, it's here, buddy. We got a little Christmas snow. Sleeper drops in there. Hey, Yeah, to time the screenshot for that, it's normally for like the first 3 seconds you have the app open or whatever.
They got it fast, man.
12-team Superflex PPR, full tight end premium, 0.25 points per carry. Shipboard them. If you know, you know. Shoddy B, Jordan Addison. Actually, you know what? No, you lost that nickname. This is Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
Jordan Addison, a 24 third from Chill Will. Chill Will is receiving a 25 first and Tank Dell.
Yeah. Good job, Chill Will. I still don't know what the base Shaboba is.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you what?
A lot.
Remember I said at the beginning of the show, Mike, this is the season of giving?
This is a gift.
Man, this is. I hope you get to write this one off, buddy. This needs to be tax fucking deductible. Like, this is a.
I don't understand it.
You know, you go into the grocery store and they got the Salvation Army just rank, like, is that what this is? Like, this is a charitable donation? What? Why? Like, I like Jordan Addison. I get it. Can I make a point here? If you're going to get off of Tank Dell, okay, listen. I'm actually going to do this. I normally never do this. You see this trade back here? You see these guys? They score points.
Yeah.
Let me show you this trade. You see these guys? One of them never scored points ever.
Well, yeah, like a game.
The third doesn't get you points. He probably can't get you points in a trade. And if you're going to take back, like, okay, yes, Jordan Addison, you could argue is the player you want in Dynasty. Why are you sending your 25 first, though? For like, get me out of the Jordan Addison discussion. Instead of getting Jordan Addison, you go get guys that cost less in Dynasty that are going to score points, hammer points.
Yeah.
Like, Justin Jefferson could be back.
Yeah.
Nick Mullins is throwing the fucking football.
Yeah.
If you want to make a dynasty trade, wait till the season's over. Make a dynasty trade then. Like, I don't get this, man. Sorry, Basa Boba. I know you're our guy, but like, listen, when you're our guy, we tell you how it fucking is, buddy.
And Jordan Addison hasn't made your best ball lineup in the last I don't know, since
two. Is it? I was gonna say 3 weeks. It's that long? 5 weeks?
Week 9 he was wide receiver 29, so maybe he was a flex option. Wasn't a great one though.
Start 11, he'd probably be a flex option on a lot of teams.
But wouldn't even count on our best ball spike weeks.
He would not be a consistent week.
Average. He would not be a consistent week. So the last one of that would have been 18. Or week 8.
I'm sorry, yeah.
8. Wide receiver 13. Yeah. It's been a while. Been a hot minute. Not a deal.
Can I tell you, this is, all right, 2 points to make. Okay, so obviously we made the first one, right?
Uh-huh.
If I'm going to pivot off of my injured Tank Dell in my 25 first, we have zero problem with that, Mike.
Yes.
Zero problem with that.
None.
I want points. I want points for 3 weeks. That's what I'm trading these for right now. Yes. Points for 3 weeks. That's not how you do this. Now, to the second point, Mike, this is one of the things that I think I wanted to highlight that we haven't had a chance to as much. So I think it's a good time. Now's a good time more than ever. A lot of people, when they rebuild, they're going to say, "Oh, Jordan Addison, he's a part of my thing." Like, he's one of my cornerstone guys. He's not even playing that well right now. Like, he's probably going to get more value later. You kind of protect a couple assets on your rebuild, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't do that.
No.
And you want to know why you don't do that?
No.
Because Mike and I don't know yet. Please let us know, Shaboba, what that is. But every now and again, you get a Shaboba to come by and say, "Hey, well, what if I can get this Jordan Addison?" Now, if you tell him, "Listen, I'm not trading him," you don't know that, hell, here's Tank Dell in a fucking first and 25.
Yeah.
And guess what? Now, the Base Shaboba is a, Savage member. He attends to the Savage semester, so we could probably help him get this ship right. But, Mike, you know what? When someone sends me this trade and I see their 25 first in there, I'm salivating. Like, oh, I get to bet against a guy that's doing this? I'll take that.
Love it.
So that's why you don't just say no to trading away young assets on your rebuild. Like, they all can go. People, right? Savage members, you guys can ask. You can put it in the chat. Not all of us, right, are going to go to bat for the other guy. We're not all going to try to screw you over. There'll be at least 2 or 3 reasonable people being like, "What the hell are you thinking?" Joe Will's going to be like, "No, I'm not taking this now." Listen, there is, okay. You know what? I'm going to make a ruling on this. If it's a Savage on Savage crime, okay, that's what DMs are for if you really have to, right? You come to us. Now, you can also just say, hey, listen, let's have it out in the streets. Let's have it out in front of everybody,
Right.
Go with the old-fashioned, Wild Wild West. Let's see who's going to get the gun out quicker,
It's like every time Dynasty Alex sends me a trade now, I'm just going to screenshot it and put it in Savage for people.
What do I do? Yes or no? Is it close? Would you take this?
No. I don't even think Dynasty Alex would tell you to take it.
He's gonna have to. He's gonna have to get a burner account, man.
He feel guilty. It's so bad.
Okay. Speaking of Savage on Savage crime.
Ooh, look at that.
Wow. Look at this fucking monstrosity. Now this is a shit trade. Okay.
This is.
Zeke. All right, everyone on podcast. Big Corey is acquiring Zeke, Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, and Nico Collins. Sending away. Mike, can I just say, one of the things I do not understand. Like, if you're getting a first back in a rebuild type of a trade, I mean, Michael Thomas and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Michael Thomas, I guess, is an injured prayer. So I can kind of see it. Like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is I would think it should be going to the team that's contending. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Michael Thomas, Christian Kirk, Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a 25 third. And speaking of the 26 first, Mike, get that first all the way out in 2026. What side do you want, buddy? What side do you want? This is a best ball, start 12, 2 tight end league, shit auction 6. What do you got?
Big Corey did a great job here. Great job. Just getting people who are scoring fantasy points onto his team, right? Zeke's kind of got the backfield to himself. You saw what he did last week. Joe Mixon's kind of been on a heater here. Demont, a little bit of a lull, but we've also seen him have those 3 touchdown games just out of the blue. And then Nico.
The one thing is Nico, the injury,
the injury
right?
sucks.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, the injury sucks. But Jonathan Taylor's injured.
No, for sure. And also, I don't know.
Kirk's injured. Michael Thomas is injured.
I don't know when this trade went down.
Has been injured since he got drafted, I think, allegedly.
And I don't know when this trade went down, if it was like before we knew the injury news, right? That just happened last weekend. So, either way. Because, Mike, can I tell you what's crazy about this one? Again, is that, I mean, normally I'd say I want to keep my CEH on my team that's contending just because he's a fucking dog shit throw-in.
It went down a week ago today. We're recording this on Thursday.
So he didn't know then, right?
Right.
So, okay. This back then, Mike, a week ago, a slam dunk. Because guess what? As much as I was telling you, like, CEH, maybe he'll do something with Pacheco out, I don't need to now. I got 3 different running backs that I like. Like, okay, yeah, here, you can have CEH, you can have Michael Thomas. I can't believe that getting CEH and Michael Thomas in this deal was something that, like, helped value out at all. Like, that right. Part to me is waddling tuna. Let me tell you the same thing we tell Shaboba. Like, you can ask. We'll give you an honest answer. Mike, because here's the thing. If you told me that you got rid of Thomas and CEH, okay, so if you say it's a 26 first, Christian Kirk, Jonathan Taylor, and the 25 third, I'd say we're on the right path, but we need to add some things. We're getting there. But those 2 things didn't do shit for me. Like, that's I think, the crux of it. Like, if you made those pieces different valuable players, they're young players or picks, I'm aboard this. But all of a sudden, like, that just is, first of all, it makes me limp. Just seeing those things in my rebuilder deals, I hate them. And then the value doesn't quite get there for me, frankly, if I'm being honest. Especially, like, this is your time to trade Zeke. If you had Zeke in a rebuild, like, this is the only time you can probably trade him.
So even if I did my best to break it down, right, like something that was reasonable, okay. Christian Kirk for Joe Mixon, as soon as Kirk went out. Yep. Reasonable pivot.
That's a good
pivot.
I'll
take your Kirk back. You take the crusty old running back.
I would actually prefer Kirk on the rebuild there. Yep.
Right. Michael Thomas and CEH for Zeke.
No. I mean, value-wise, I just wouldn't take them 2 dudes. Like, it doesn't do anything for me.
I don't mind getting back either one of them, right? Because they could both have situation changes or role changes next year. Like, they're not going to retire Adam. Like, I'm fine with them. It's whatever. I don't even care. It's crusty for crusty, right? If it's made a week ago, you still had one more regular season game. Like, just get the fucking Zeke points off my team. I don't give a fuck about the Zeke thing.
Here's my thing. My difference with to that point is, and I'll ask on air for everybody, if you did this, I'm fine with it. Did you really go ask everybody that's a contender what they would give you for Zeke and picks? Because I guarantee you can get something right now for picks. I'd rather have liquidity.
Maybe
you would too.
You also had T-Rock before the actual game, who was like trying to nickel and dime Koopa to death. So
T-Rock's in his own little like world out there. That's him, right?
People are on a different level with Zeke before he actually popped off.
Sure. Now, my point is that, Mike,
so if I keep it moving on, I don't want to hang up on Zeke because he's fucking irrelevant. Like, he's right. Whatever. You get to the Jonathan Taylor and Demont side, like, okay, if you wanted that to be a reasonable pivot, like, here, I'm going to make you eat it because you're getting a running back who's scoring fantasy points. That's fine. That's the tax. But then it comes down to Nico for a 26 first and a third, and I go, fuck. Like, why? Why am I sending you Nico Collins for just a 26 first and a third in 25?
You shouldn't be unless you're, like, already seriously leveraged that class.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way it would be some external piece like that where I already have, like, 3 or 4 picks there. I want to just completely hammer that class. But you don't need to pivot all the way out 3 years from Nico to that first class. I agree with you.
That'd be a hard pass, man. Even if it was just a 25 or 24 first, playoff first for Nico. Where are you at? I'd still say no.
Yeah, I mean, I think there you could have a discussion. I'd probably say, like, you need to add me something, but, like, it's a lot different than a 26 first at least.
Except that one guy who fucking hates Nico in the comments.
Well, yeah. Mike, if I speak too highly of Nico again, people are going to come for me and Nico again and make him hurt, The taboo doll.
Sniper's going to get his calf.
The voodoo doll, man. They kind of have, I guess, Mike, I mean, it's not to belabor the point of Zeke, but, like, right now is if you held Zeke, why – you want to trade all these guys, right? Everybody on this outside of Nico, you want to move if you're rebuilding. You want to move Monty. You want to move Mixon. You want to move Zeke. The thing is, okay, Zeke, Mike, to your point, and this is why I asked the question. If everyone in your league told you, no, I'm not giving you picks or something, if they all T-rocked you, fine, I'll make this trade. But because here's what's not going to happen probably. Like, are you going to now be able to 4D flip CEH and Michael Thomas? My odds are going to tell you probably not. And to your point, now you're banking on a role change. I'd rather just have the liquidity. But if that wasn't there, I'd take this trade. I would take the Thomas and CEH, I should say, not the trade. So I want Big Corey side here for sure. To take the Waddle and Tuna side, Mike, I think I would need to see that be like a 25 or a 24 first. Or if it's staying at 26, I need at least a second or 2 seconds in this deal now. Like the third needs to become a second, and one of the CH and Thomases needs to become a second. Now I'm having a conversation, I think. Yeah. It's light at least like a second in change, I think, and to be honest, in dynasty value.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Waddle and Tuna, tell us why you did it, man.
All right. We're giving Big Corey a big head, right? Like, he thinks he can get these deals done all the time, and that's also why his offers he sends you are usually junk.
They're normally big declines.
We're making a monster.
Mike, I don't make anything. I look, I see the DM, I click on the trade, and I normally have about, a 30-second window at tops before I hit the decline button. That's when I'm drinking, right? It's normally like a 10-second thing.
I'm glad you said tops. Like 30 seconds, yeah, that's tops. But like you said, you got to be really fucked up on bourbon and using one eye. You
get the squint going, and you're thinking, all right, I'm reading this wrong. I think it's the other side, right? No, it's not. He sent you a fucking dog shit offer, Big Corey. Love you, Big Corey. All right. No flocking. No flocking. We got Mighty Booch in Bush League. Okay. Elijah Moore and Cole Kmet for Michael Mayer, a 24 fourth and a 24 second. 12-team Superflex PPR, half tight end premium, lineup start 10. No flocking, Mike. Where you at?
I'm going to take Cole Kmet and Elijah Moore side, and I don't give a shit about the Elijah Moore part at all.
I don't either.
I'd never start him in this league. If I did, I'd have to. Listen,
I would start him out of a catastrophe of horrible things that happened to me. That's it.
Tight ends are just kind of whatever, but Michael Mayer has been so irrelevant and bad that you can't even factor him into the WoRP tight end. Right? There's no name tight ends who have done better than Michael Mayer this year.
I would say this is the thing. If I'm contending, like I'm not really giving up much. If you think Cole Kmet's actually going to help you secure or lock up or get closer to a title, I'd take that side. And the flip side, though, if I had Cole Kmet and I'm not competing, Mike, I would definitely take the other side and be like, let me just WoRP this thing. Let me see what I can get out of this second-round pick, and just I'm going to have to either eat Mayer or hope he gets better over time because he's been dog shit this year, really, right?
Or maybe somebody's still holding on to the Mayer hope and
you can flip him.
They trade me. They give me a second for him, and all of a sudden I flipped Cole Kmet and
Boom.
Elijah Moore for 2 seconds and a fourth.
Right. He's probably a hold until you can flip. Good call. Yep.
Best case scenario, right?
But I mean, that's where like if I'm rebuilding though, just the WoRP life, I'm going to flip him for the second. I'll take Cole Kmet if that's what I need and right to go into a title, but
yeah,
I'd want the second on a rebuild.
Yeah.
I think it's a good trade.
I think Cole Kmet's been a pretty pleasant surprise.
He has been
fantasy production this year,
especially when Fields been playing, right? Like it's looked a lot better with him in there.
Imagine that he put a good quarterback in and plays well. Also, shout out to the guy who's like the biggest Tyson Bagent fan in the entire world, who hates Justin Fields in the YouTube comments. I love it.
What did Justin Fields do to that person?
I don't know, but he does not like Justin Fields, man.
Is it because he played at Ohio State?
All I said was Justin Fields has done enough to earn a job somewhere next year. Fuck, he is. Okay.
What game are you watching, man?
Nah, that's usually what they go to, right? Do you even watch football? No, never seen a game in my life.
For those that want to know, though, for the full season, Cole Kmet, tight end 8. Now, tight end 8 with a lot of shitty weeks in there, right? Like,
yeah, a lot of Tyson Bagent weeks.
Oh, jeez, Tyson Bagent. Can we? All right, get me on the 2-person screen. It's time. It's time to get out of here. Shepherd College, man.
Hey,
remember we were on the draft stream, Mike? Remember we were on the draft stream, and it was day 3. Like you're just like you're on your last leg. You're just ready to get out of there. I remember he got drafted. You guys like you don't know where Shepherd College is. I mean, yes, I do. I played there. Mike, never did we think this guy was gonna get real burn. In the first season, and actually looked pretty damn decent. So
he was decent enough, right?
I mean, I would say for expectations, Mike.
Yeah.
He couldn't have disappointed expectations. Impossible. If anything, he exceeded them, right?
People think he played better than Fields did, and that's objectively false. You're using a subjective opinion. Because objectively, I can point to all of his PFF grades during his starts, and he is literally the worst quarterback in the league for that time.
I'll tell you what that is, okay? That's the human element that humans have that you apparently don't have, which is they want to root for the underdog. Mike hates the underdog, all right? Like, I've never seen somebody that like
I don't hate the underdog.
Brock Purdy. You find a way to hate these underdogs. Now, granted,
I don't even hate him.
It's more of a dynasty process. You hate the draft capital is not secure with all these guys, and you're not going to ever value them in dynasty. But just there's some people that they like the Rocky. They like the guy.
That's true.
That comes out of nowhere, the Pukas, if you will, right?
Listen, career backups usually regress to the mean of being a career backup.
Josh Dobbs,
Geno Smith. This stuff happens. Jameis Winston.
Oh,
people act like
don't bring Jameis into this. You're gonna get Fizzle fired up now.
I hope so. I hope I get Fizzle fired up because Jameis is not good. Fizz.
Well,
he's fun, but he's not good.
This was a good trade show. Backup quarterback discussion aside here, a lot of good trades and pivots. I think there was a handful that makes sense. I think there's a handful that will give teams a real shot to win. Mike, I would love to circle back to these trade shows if the people would be on board. Because I think we're going to get a lot of shit, okay? I just want to say this. As we're growing, I think a lot of people are going to be like, you are doing things that are so not dynasty-like to go win a title. right, in the playoff time. I'd love to circle back because it's not necessarily if you did win or lose, but if you made a trade like this, did you get second? Did you get yourself in the money? Did you get into the title game and win the game?
Right.
That's the whole point of this discussion. I'd love to circle back and see what some of these teams end up doing after being on the trade show, because if you can point back to trades like that everyone's clowning you saying, oh, you lost dynasty value, but you're holding this big bag of cash, and you can tell everyone to piss off for the next 5 years because you got your league dues paid. Okay, good. That's the process that we're talking about. So everyone watching, we appreciate you tapping in. Please understand, when we're talking about going to win a title, we forego a little bit of the dynasty value. It's not that we just want to lose it. It's that the whole idea of playing this game at the end of the day is to win the league at some point.
I'm with you, buddy. Be interested to come back and see what happens. I know last year I had 2 really good ones, and at the end of the year I did victory lap the shit out of those. Y'all told me I was nuts. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. How dare I give fantasy advice when I make trades like that? And I don't know. When I won the league walking away, I thought it was pretty good.
When you name yourself McNutted, people are probably going to tell you you're pretty nuts, you know? And to be fair,
shout out Marvin McNutt.
Shout out Marvin McNutt. That is how you go from ER to victory lane. And Mike, that's the show, man. That's the show. We appreciate everyone tapping in. If you stayed this far, please go down, hit the like, comment, subscribe. Let us know we're idiots, where you're trading away too much dynasty value. Love this process. I'm going to make a couple trades like this of my own. Tell us what you're going to do in your leagues. We'll see you back here, same time, same place, next week during the playoffs for more Trade Show. We're out of this thing. Peace.